welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah, and today I want to talk about what to do if your parents don't approve of your relationship. So as you may know, I am married to a Jordanian man, Jawad, and when we started dating, our parents had a lot of concerns and reservations that we had to work through over time. I'm going to be sharing from my experience with that, and I know every situation is unique, but hopefully you can learn some valuable lessons from our experience that you can take into your relationship that will hopefully help you to navigate this challenging situation. So the first thing that I would really recommend is that you sit down and have a conversation with your parents about what their reservations are. Why do they disapprove? Why do they seem against the relationship? I think it's important in any relationship to be open to outside feedback and other people's opinions, because it's really easy when you're in a romantic relationship to see things through rose-colored glasses and to get caught up in the emotion. Emotion is definitely a positive and a wonderful part of a romantic relationship, but if you're looking at a romantic relationship with the possibility of it being long-term, turning into marriage, you really want to go into it with your eyes open. So it's better to know on the front end if there are things that you should be looking at, that you should be concerned about in your relationship that maybe you're blinded to and that someone else can see more clearly than you can. Don't view it as them attacking your relationship or being against you, because in all likelihood they love you and they want the best for you. So take the time to really talk through what their concerns are and see if there's any validity to them, and see what you can do to maybe help make their concerns diminish by addressing them head on. So for example, my parents were really concerned about the fact that Jawad, my husband, was from a different culture and that we would have challenges understanding each other, interacting with each other's different cultures and traditions, and they didn't want me to have that difficulty in my life because marriage is hard already. So it really came from a place of them wanting to save me difficulty and trouble. And so before my husband and I got married, we really had to sit down and talk through what are the aspects of your culture that are different from my culture and how are we going to handle that. Now granted, there's still times that we bump into different culture issues between the two of us, but from the very beginning, it created an atmosphere in our relationship that said we're going to sit down and talk about differences when we hit them, and we're going to figure out together how to handle them and how to move forward as a unified couple and not be at odds with each other, because we each have different ways of looking at the world and different ways of doing things based on our cultural heritage. The next thing I would recommend is don't argue with your parents. You really don't want to cause harm to the relationship with your parents, because hopefully they love you and you don't want to break down that relationship in order to further a romantic relationship. You want to build both of them stronger, your romantic relationship and your relationship with family, with your parents. So try to ensure that you are having calm, logical conversation with your parents, and don't make it a you against them kind of scenario. And this may be hard because I know with my own parents that it got emotional sometimes, the conversations that we were having. And that tends to be rooted in anxiety and fear on both sides. I was afraid that my parents might scare away my boyfriend, and my parents were afraid that I would get hurt and heartbroken. And so I think it's important to slow down and spread conversations out. Don't try and hash it all out at one time. And if you feel yourself getting emotional and saying things that could be hurtful and detrimental to the relationship with your parents, that's usually a good sign that it's time to bring that conversation to a close for the time being, and if need be, come back to it at a different time. And if you do notice conversations with your parents getting heated and maybe aggressive and not healthy, sometimes it can be helpful to try and approach those conversations from a different angle. So instead of just saying, I can't talk to my parents about my relationship, try talking to them through a different avenue. So sending an email, or as old school as it is, a letter. I don't know if I recommend having conversations over text message because it's easy for tone and intention to get lost in text message, so I'm not sure I'd go with that one. But if you can do an email, just having something in written format can sometimes provide you that space and reflection to convey what you mean, but to take the emotion and the angst out of it a little bit. Because sometimes in the heat of the moment, we say things that we don't mean, but if you write something down, that it gives you time to take the emotion out and to really think about what you want to say and to convey it clearly. And my next piece of advice would be give it time. Because sometimes with a new relationship, your parents just may be shocked by who you chose to date and the circumstances surrounding the relationship. So I think sometimes just allowing the idea and the reality of your relationship and everything that surrounds it to kind of settle into their minds and for them to get adjusted to the concept can be helpful for them to come around to it in the end. And I do want to say that if a relationship is good and healthy and is meant to continue, then the challenges of parents not approving initially will usually not destroy a relationship. So if the person that you're dating is quality and they're serious about the relationship, they're serious about you, then usually they're willing to put in the work to allow your family to come around. They want to help you convince your family. They want to put your family at ease about the relationship. And if you're dating somebody who isn't willing to put in that work with you, who just kind of leaves you alone with it and doesn't really seem to care what your family thinks at all, that's kind of a red flag. So I would just say that use the advice that I've given over the past few minutes and then see how everything kind of shapes up and see what happens over the long haul. And that will also be a good indicator as to whether this relationship has a future. And in the end, if it's healthy and survives some initial resistance from your family, then you'll probably end up with a really good relationship, and your significant other and your family will hopefully end up with a really good relationship between them at the end of it. So I know that navigating family approval and opinions is a difficult topic and complicated, and every situation is different. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have questions or if you're in the middle of a situation like this. I would love to be there for you, to talk you through ideas, different ways to approach your specific situation. The best way is probably to connect with me on Instagram at Sarah_Pullen1 and to DM me directly. I promise I will respond to everyone who DMs me. I want to build community here. I want to be a help and a resource to you and use my experience to be a blessing and a help to other people. I look forward to talking with you on Instagram, and until next time, thanks for watching.